All right, Tiff, it's been a long time coming, right? You're like pushing me that can I get on your podcast? So, when we were joking around, right? But here, I made room, got you on, and I've gotten to know Tiffany um, at a entrepreneurs group. We were away. That's really the first time we actually met in person. We did discuss a little bit back and forth. We had conversations prior to that virtually, but I believe that was like the one that
This is
where
the
we
first time I had really ever really spent any time with you and got to know you at all.
right, and we were in the same breakout session, or I can't remember the name of it. But
They were
anyways,
hot seat
hot
breakout, like
seats.
little small
Yes,
groups.
yes, hot seats. So we were in the same hot seats. 8 people in that same session. So that's how we got to know each other at a deeper level too. I would say for what we're doing in business and everything else like that. So, Tiffany, I'm just going to let you share a little bit about yourself, and then we're just going to dive into, how you got to where you are today, and we just see where the conversation takes us.
So much fun. Well, I do laugh because I was like, John, haven't been on your podcast. He's like, well, why not? And I was like, because you've never asked. Like,
Yeah.
come on now. And he was like, oh, well, let me try to figure that out for you. So thank you for making room for me.
Sure.
Um, who am I? I am a girl who just genuinely loves being herself. And that feels like it sounds so silly as it's coming out of my mouth, but like I love the water. I love being out in the sun. I love riding my bike, taking my dog for a walk. I love kayaking and hiking. And I have run over 250 miles through Disney World. And I truly believe that if you can dream it, you can do it. And where John and I met, it was a mastermind and we studied like leadership through Walt Disney's eyes. And that was such a magical week for me because everything about me being even on this podcast right now started at a day in Disney World. There's this picture, if you're watching us on YouTube, in my office of my family and I. And that weekend, it sits here because it was in that weekend that this version of me like really started to like come into form. And we had gone down for a family 5K. I had just started running. And my mom was like, oh, Disney does this 5K. We could go trick or treating in Magic Kingdom. I'd love to take your cousin to Disney. And she's like, would you want to do that? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I couldn't even run a 5K without walking at the time. And by the end of that weekend, we were walking through Animal Kingdom and I was so proud of my little 5K medallion. It was like a little rubber pumpkin Mickey Mouse head, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. But we were in Animal Kingdom on Sunday, and there was these people with these big giant medals, John. And I, in true Tiff fashion, before Tiff fashion was a thing, was like, "Excuse me, what is that?" They're like, oh, I ran a half marathon. And I'm like, what's a half marathon? So I went about my day and then I was so curious. So I asked the next person. And like the day went on, just like that, like me just asking like little questions to strangers about their medals that they were wearing. And I stopped at some point out of nowhere. I stopped dead in the middle of the walking path. It was like, we can't come back until I can do that. And my family was like, do what? And I was like, run a half marathon. And they were like, okay, Tiff, sure. You didn't even run the 5K this morning, but okay, we won't come back until you can. Like patronizing family comment, right? And 4 years later, I ran my first half marathon in Disneyland. So on the other side, in that first year, I ran 4 half marathons and closed it out at that event the dream started in. And so, like, when I talk about who I am as a person, it's such a fun part of the story because like everything about me to this day is like rooted in curiosity and playfulness. And like, I wonder if I could do that. And I wonder if I could help other people win at their game of life too. If I could just help them learn how to ask themselves those questions and get curious and not get mad when things don't go right. But like, wonder what I could do next time to make it maybe a little different. And so at the core of my being, I am just a curious, playful woman who absolutely thinks this life is so cool and thinks it's so cool that I get to have like cool conversations with other humans and get to know them.
Yeah. And life is cool, right? So we're
So
here, we're
freaking cool.
alive, so let's enjoy it no matter what it is. Um, so what were like a half a marathon, right? So that was your first drive. Was that like the real big aha, let's do this? And
Well,
then what, go ahead.
yeah, no, here's your question.
Yeah, and then I was gonna say, what were the steps that took you to get there, right? To even do your first half a marathon, just not just Disney.
Yeah, it was a series of one step at a time. and a lot of me beating myself up for like walking too much and not being fast enough and all the things. And I can clearly remember there was a spot I used to run at down. I live in Maryland, and there's a spot called Solomon's Island, and there's like a boardwalk, and it goes through a nice little water neighborhood and back, and it was like a mile and a half loop if you wanted it to be. And I would like be like, okay, you just got to get to that board. You just got to get to that bench. You just got like take a break, walk until that mailbox, and then try again. And I used to get so frustrated at myself because here it is 9 o'clock at night, and I'm trying to run because I never wanted to be embarrassed again. I didn't mention this part. My running journey started because my friends invited me to a local 5K for a charity, and I couldn't get. I was at like I played we played rugby together and everything, but like I couldn't run to the edge of the parking lot. And I remember finishing that race and being like, never again. Like I will teach myself how to run because I am never going to feel like this again. That was embarrassing. And so it was a lot of just like, why aren't you fast enough? Why is this so hard? And me just reminding myself that everyone crosses the finish line one step at a time. 3.1 miles is 3.1 miles, no matter how you slice and dice it. So just take one more step. You're going to get there one step at a time. And it is literally how I learned how to run. It's how I healed myself from an eating disorder. I suffered from binge eating for a really long time in my life. It's how I got through some of the hardest seasons as a nuclear chemist, and life was upside down, and I was learning new things and new skills and stepping into new roles. It's how I started my business now, and still how I'm doing business now. And I tattooed it on my arm in Disney font. It says one step at a time, because like when life gets heavy, how do you finish it? What is the next right step I need to take? Because I keep living in the future. I want to live in like 10 steps from now, and it gets overwhelming. And so it's always like bringing myself back to that, like, what's the one thing you need to do right now that's going to get you a step closer?
Yeah. So do you have a vision for yourself?
Of course, it's always evolving too.
Hmm.
Um, I'm really big on this is probably the biggest secret to life that I learned. And the thing that I love teaching other humans how to do is asking yourself, what does success look like for me when it comes to my health, my relationships, and the way I earn money in my career? And defining what success is in those big buckets allows me to live my perfect day every single day. And so for me, like the big vision is being able to live in that all the time without a lot of like complications. And I would really, really love to be able to just travel the world with my mom and take her on all the advent. I want to take my mom on adventures and not have to worry about like how the bills are going to get paid, or like if we can put our dog in a kennel or what have you. And so like at the end of the day, I want to have my vision is having amazing conversations and humaning with other people and taking my mom on adventures that she couldn't afford to do when we were growing up because she gave us everything. And so that's where it comes down to.
Yeah. And that's the whole purpose of being alive, trying to do everything you can, right?
Yeah.
Working hard and going on trips, and it's the experiences. So I have um, life is collection of experiences. It's downstairs in my wall. It's broken up from Jim Rohn's quote, but it's true. It is what it is, right? You're not going to remember the toy that you got, when you were five. It's all about traveling with your family, traveling with your friends, even if it's just you and you go meet other people. Lately I've been just me, like meeting people I never met before, right? And so that to me is what it's all about. And that's why I would love to just take my kids do things. Even we went for a hike on Friday, right? Same place I've been to before, they've been there before, but still, we were able to walk across a fallen tree to get across a creek that, we had no other way around, right? And they'll remember that. I know they will. Um,
And
so
if they don't, it doesn't, you will.
yeah,
And
it's
that's just as
well, yeah,
important.
right. I still see it in my head because
Because
I was
my
just
mom
that person.
remembers things that I'm like her fondest memories. And I'm like, was I there? And she's
Right.
like, oh, like I was an integral part of this story in her memory, right? And I'm like, not there. I'm glad you had a good time.
That's right. Yeah, I get to see them grow, right? And that's why, I believe that you're doing the same thing too. Is like, you're showing a lot of stuff on social media, about your day in, day out, and it's just being authentic and you're just showing up. And it's to share what you're going through because everybody else is going through it too. They're just not sharing it, right? So it's one way to express that, and you're not quitting. So you just said that you keep on doing steps, right? And so what's the next step? The step might be broken, but you're going to put it together and you're going to get up on it.
But I'm going to try it and then see why it was broken and then try again.
Mm-hmm.
Someone asked me this the 2 weeks ago. I had hopped in someone's little they meet, this is this group of women, they meet every week. They had met in another program and they continue to connect. And I got invited in by one of the girls. She's like, I think you would love meeting the ladies here. They would really love to meet you. So I hopped into their little powwow. And one of the girls was like, how do you keep going? How do you keep showing up for your business when you haven't gotten the results that you're like after? And I felt like a butthole because like I've just filtered myself. That was such a strange filter to avoid the saying the A word. Um, what am
Yeah,
I,
you don't have to
5?
filter anything out. Just be
Cool.
you.
I felt like an asshole because same on my podcast. I'm like, when people ask like, can you cuss? And I'm like, that's a strange question. Like if the fuck fits, like use it, but like let's not be vulgar about it.
That's right.
She said, but I felt so icky on the inside because I was like, quit. Like that's never an option. Has never crossed my mind to stop trying to do life. And that's what I see business as. Business is part of my life. Like I absolutely love learning how to like serve and meet the people who need to learn the gifts that I have collected along the way and the way that I get to share them with them. Not because I can save them. I can't save anyone. But like I do have all the tools to help guide you in the life that you want to build. And that just doing something different has never crossed my mind. I left everything to do this. I left everything. I didn't even tell my family I had quit my job for 3 months after I had been unemployed because like I knew that they were going to have their own experience and that they're with that, all of their fears, all of their doubts, all of their opinions, all of their love for me. If I were to tell them I was going to leave my very secure 6-figure career with all the benefits and bells and whistles that everyone wants, and I didn't want to rob them from that because I knew that that was their experience and they were allowed to feel that way. But I also knew in the moment that like I needed to protect myself and like I had to find my solid footing as this person who just left everything to go create a life over from scratch that she didn't actually know how to build. And so it was just like, it's never been an option to just not. That sounds like not breathing.
What
Like,
was the
how do you
drive to
keep
start?
going? Well, I shared with you, that's such a cool question. What was the drive to start? Well, I shared with you the Disney story, and that was like the start of my health journey of getting control of my eating disorder and like becoming like an athletic person and becoming a runner. And then that turned into me becoming a Beachbody coach because I thought that if I had the title of coach, that I would show up for the things that were important to me because life was starting to get a little busy and my work schedule had changed. We had moved. I couldn't get to the gym the way I wanted to. And so I thought that if I gave myself this title, that I would show up and do the things because I was telling other people they should do the things. It's not how it works, but that was my plan. Um, and then over time, that grew into me realizing that I had my own way of doing things. And so I created my own intuitive eating program to help women heal their relationship with food and exercise. And that's what leapt. I was sitting at my desk one day. I had just gotten back from a doctor given sabbatical. I had allowed myself to get burnout, and I use that word allowed very like intentionally. I allowed myself to get burnout, and the doctor gave me 10 work days off. And I was mortified because what do you mean? I thought I was having a heart attack. Turns out I was having a panic attack. And she gave me time off work and said that if something doesn't change, it very well could be a heart attack next time. And tell that to a girl who lost her dad when she was 21, 22 years old. And you're like, oh, I don't want to go down that path. And anyway, I was at my desk one day and I had put it on like 15 pounds and I caught myself Googling how to lose 15 pounds this week. And I got so pissed off at myself because I was like, you know better. You've just spent 8 years helping people like get control of their health, and you just Googled a quick fix diet that you know can't work. Like, and then I got pissed at the industry, and I was just like, no one teaches people how to be healthy. The fact that this was even an option, like I was going off, and all of a sudden I was like, time out, Tiff. Like, you have two options. We don't complain anymore. And so we have two options. We either accept that this is the way the world works and we go about our day, or we do something about it. Neither one is right, neither one is wrong, but like you got to make a choice here. And then I very quickly figured out that I was like, I guess I have to do something about it. And I figured out how to hand in my notice, and I gave myself 3 months. I gave them 3 months notice to give turnover, and I just leapt. That's nuts. Thank God I didn't know. Thank God I didn't know what it took to run a business, because I just thought I was going to so save the world. But to save the world, if you want to be a coach of any sort, you don't actually get to do any coaching unless you learn how to market and sell. And so thank God I didn't know that, because I would have thought I was unqualified.
Yeah, there's a lot of learning curves, that's for sure. Yes. And so you're doing everything. You got all the hats, right?
All the hats.
And I'm sure there's more to come that we don't even know yet. Um, no, I asked because a lot of people, there's somebody I interviewed too, and he kind of like went into a shock or whatever, a state to where he stopped his job pretty much. What he was working day and night. I forget everything exactly, but I do remember that it was starting to eat away his health. And so he gave up on it. Things are different now. He's doing stuff totally different now. Escaped to the entrepreneurship and feels alive, right? And I know that's where you are now. You feel alive and you keep showing up because you enjoy doing what you're doing, not just for yourself, but for others as well. And to
Yeah.
get to see them become a better light in themselves, I guess you could say, and step up and take the position that they want to be. Yeah.
I think it's important to note, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs because they want out of the grind, right? They can't stand their boss, and they just want to be their own boss, and they're just going to go make it on their own. That was never really the drive. It was like this moment of, I guess I have to be the one to fix it. It was like this, like something that was so much bigger than myself, because I loved my job at the time. Like, well, not at the time that it was time to move on, but I had mentioned that I had allowed myself to get burnout. And when I look back, the reason that I say that is because 2 years prior to that moment where I finally left, I had already been getting the nudges from the universe and my intuition that it was time to leap into something else. And I didn't think I was qualified to do it, because I was so good at my job and very good at getting people together and aligning them to a common goal and a mission to go get work done. And I was sitting in a boardroom getting ready to give this big presentation and to this executive team, and I was managing this like $2.5 million budget for this project. And I was sitting there in the room just chit chatting, looking around at all of these people that I aspired to grow into their positions one day. And I remembered thinking, like, you've gained 100 pounds in the last 18 months since taking on that position. You look like you have it all together, but I know that your wife just left you and your adult children don't talk to you. Like, I don't really want that either. I work really hard for my family to have a good life. And it was like, and I was looking at this other person. I'm like, you look like you have it all together, but your team is miserable all the time. They're the crankiest bunch of dudes I have ever met, which, so proud of myself back then, because I didn't have the knowing and the knowledge yet. But the thought was, I don't think that means you know how to lead yourself. I really feel like leadership means that you show up first so that you lead by example so that your team can thrive. And I was like, I really don't believe that this is what leadership is about. And the thought was like, and all of that happened in like a millisecond, right? And the thought was, am I supposed to teach them how to life so that they can like have it all and not be miserable? And I was like, oh, because I was like in my early 30s, and these people were in their late 40s, early 50s, right? And I was like, who are you to do that? Like, get back to your presentation. Gave my presentation, and along I went. But when I look back, what led to burnout after that was like I had outgrown my container, and I was getting nudged into something that was bigger than me before I knew. And I just didn't think I could do it. Like, who are you to tell people how to live their life or to share? Who are you to share what you've learned? Who's to say that your way is the best way? Right. Like all of those things. And so, yeah, mine wasn't a need to get out of the job. I would love to work for someone else, actually. I would love to have a paycheck that I don't have to show up for. Like, whether it was a good day or a bad day, if I went to work today, the bills are paid. You know what I mean? But that's just not that version of me doesn't exist anymore because it's so much bigger than me.
Hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean. And so you can hear all those different back and forth, with entrepreneurs and people that work a 9 to 5. And so, as you know, I still work a 9 to 5 and doing stuff on the side. And I probably would still be at the same place I was working at for 20 years if they didn't shut the door. And, thank God they did. And everything flipped for me, good or bad, however you want to take it, because I wouldn't be here doing this, what I mean, for 2.5 years podcasting. Like, what the,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. And I just wanted, before I ask you questions about your podcast and stuff and everything else you have going on, would you consider there would be a part of regret if you didn't take that leap?
That's an interesting question. Can you regret something, a path you didn't know existed? I don't know.
Well, later in life, you're going to look back and go, what you're going to look back and go, wish I did, right? Maybe. For the most part, people will regret when they're older.
I'm pausing because I'm really trying to think of the scenario where I would have would have made a different choice where I would have known regret later. I think right now, if I were to like go try to just I think if I were to go find a regular job right now because it was hard and the results like entrepreneur I'm mathed real well. But the reality of making that math turn into like actual income in your bank account is a different story. And I think if I were to just stop what I'm doing right now and just go play it safe, you might as well just put me in the ground because I think my life, like, I don't know that it would be living for me anymore. I think I would be choosing not to live. That sounds really dramatic,
That's a good answer. I love it.
but dramatic doesn't make it less true. Yeah, I think that I think I would become numb and
Hmm.
I would be on the hamster wheel and I would then become all of the people I see that I'm like trying to open the door to different possibilities. Not that my way's the right way, but like I just want to show you that there's this world through this door that you could step through if you wanted to, that it doesn't have to be as like hard and heavy as it feels. I've been saying this a lot lately, John, which is like because people are like, but it isn't it hard work? And I'm like, who said that life was supposed to be easy? But like, there is a difference between like it being hard and it being a grind hard and it being hard and you being in flow. And so I always pay attention to that. Like, what kind of hard is this? Are we grinding or are we flowing and finding our way? And so I think that was a really long answer. That one made me think really, like really get in there. Welcome to my brain. How about you?
Yeah. So I'm going to add,
What's
I
your
heard,
answer?
well, I'll share with you. So first, I'm going to add in, I heard this the other day, where if you're going to wind up homeless later on in life, wouldn't you rather just wind up homeless doing the things that you want to do now, right? Or whatever that is. If it's not homeless, it's something that is just you're going to go in that direction anyways. Why not just live today to make the best of what you can do today to make yourself feel alive? And that's where you are. And for me, I I think if I stopped, I would regret,
Mm.
right? I really do. And if I stop, uh, even if I don't make the goals that I see, right? And I don't want to say I'm not going to make them, but it's also going to allow you, Tiff, and my kids and everybody else to go, oh, he quit, right? And there's a point where you might have to quit, but is it quitting or pivoting?
I was gonna say there's a difference between giving up and like throwing in the towel and
Right.
evolving into a new opportunity in
Exactly.
another chapter. And I do think there is so much power in evolution, because sometimes people are like, oh, that was such a, we'll take relationships, such a great example. Oh, I wasted 5 years with that person. But you didn't, because like you had to have that experience to get to this stepping stone, which then opened all of these possibilities that are in front of you. And had you not gone down this path, these opportunities wouldn't be here. And so I see everything, and I really do now at this stage in life, everything is an opportunity and everything is preparing me for something that I don't even know will exist one day. And I can know that to be true in the core of my being, because when I look back at my life, all of the dots make sense. All of the side quests, why I had to go check myself into an outpatient eating disorder center and then to get all those certifications to fix myself. And like all of the things, they all make sense now because they're all skills and connections that I need in this season of life that I rely on so heavily. So why will what I'm working through right now be any different for the next chapter?
Right. That's well said. You got it. Um, I wanted to dive into, so you have two girls talking, right? That's your podcast.
Two humans talking.
Two humans talking. I don't know. It's all girls though. So you might as
Well, it
well.
didn't start out as all girls. It just has evolved into, I have a very female audience. And
Gotcha.
so I tried to respect that, like the audience itself, which is very, very feminine, very female, very like, there's just some things that are different about navigating life as a woman that are different. The same, just like navigating life as a man. Don't have any idea what that's like. And so I try to be respectful of the audience and giving them stories where they can see themselves in it.
Gotcha. Maybe some women might want to hear some men on that side.
Maybe. Do you want to come on my show, John? Is that what you're saying? I will
Yeah,
make an
let's do it.
exception.
Yeah, I'll just
I will
jump
make
right
an
in there.
exception for you.
So yeah, so explain what is this? So people are just talking. What are you women talking about?
It is. What are you women talking about? What you gabbing?
That's right. I didn't check it. I didn't check in. Obviously, I probably should.
I just, I like the way you said that. What are you women yapping about? No, it is very like best friend, big sister vibes of, I just want to have a conversation with you. I want this to be conversational. I want us to talk with each other, not at each other, because I want the woman who is listening to this episode to feel like she's sitting on the couch with us in her PJs with her cup of hot chocolate, having a conversation, rather than us telling her what her life should be like and what she should be doing, but where it's like she can actually see herself in the story and think, oh, these women are just like me. And if they could do that, maybe I could too. And so very conversational, very just, if I could pull my brain open and share a nugget that I've learned the hard way with you so you can win at your game of life just a little faster, like let's have that conversation. And it is so much fun, and it is probably the most magical thing I have ever created, and I created it by accident, and it has been so much fun. So it really is just two humans talking about what it's like to be like on this planet and live life and strive for big things.
Cool. And as you as a podcaster, what do you get out of it besides just the conversation?
I get to talk. So this is, and I didn't know I did this. And it wasn't until a girlfriend of mine pointed it out to me maybe 2 months ago. Like, so this is recent, where I was like, I just want to have real conversations about how the world works and share about what I'm going through and what I've learned. And like, and my girlfriend's like laughing. And you know, when you're in those moments and someone's like chuckling at you, you're just like, what? And they're like, don't you see it? And you're like, just get to it already. And she was like, you realize you do that every single day. Because I'm sitting here thinking, I don't have any friends. No one wants to talk about the world with me and have deep, meaningful conversations. And she's just like, Tiff, what do you do like every week? And I was like, huh? She's like, who do you talk to on your podcast? And I said it out loud, and I even said it out loud, and she like staring at me, and this still wasn't clicking. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I created the space to attract people who wanted to have deep, meaningful conversations about how life works with me. And it's my podcast. And I'm like, how cool is that? Like, you literally can create everything you've ever wanted. And sometimes you can create it on accident.
You just didn't see it. Somebody else had to tell you about it.
Someone else had to point it out to me because my vision when I started the podcast, it was a lifeline. I started my business in health and wellness and weight loss, and I'm a very solid size 12 woman, 5'4", size 12. And the internet has a lot to say about that, especially when you're helping people get control of their health and lose weight. And when you're vulnerable and transparent, they say things like, well, if that's what you look like and you struggle with food and exercise, why would anyone hire you? And to help them lose weight. And I was just like, I had a day where I was just like, I am a freaking human and I need to be able to talk like I'm a human. And like, if you think that everything's one and done and you just magically fix yourself and you never have to worry about food and exercise again. And I had like gone off on this rant. And anyway, I started a podcast, Two Humans Talking, because I just wanted to talk to another human like I was a human without it affecting my livelihood. And then it transitioned into me having guests on. And I thought that if I could be the expert and have all these experts on my show, that would build credibility and then people would hire me because I was the person. It's not how that worked. And it just turned into this space where I genuinely got to be like the keeper of the stories. I was keeper of other people's stories. And now it's like my place where I've built this beautiful platform to help other women's stories be heard and allow them a chance to be seen and get their message out there. And I just think that's so stinking cool. And I am so fortunate to just be able to life with them in those 45 minutes we spend together. And then, I mean, and now I have offers that like feed that demographic so I can serve them beyond the podcast, but it didn't start out that way. It was just like one step at a time and one opportunity being put in front of another opportunity and me just figuring out how it was all supposed to come together. And then you sit there and you're like, wow, this is a masterpiece. I've been building this puzzle piece by piece and it already exists. And it's just a matter of me like collecting the skills and collapsing the timeline for me to see it. But it all already exists, which I just think is so cool.
That is cool. I love it. So you do about 30, 45 minutes. Is that what you do?
Yeah, I schedule them. I schedule them for 45 minutes. We chit chat in the beginning, so about 10 minutes, and then we record for 20 or 30 minutes, and then I wrap things up on the back end. And I'm really big on asking people like what they're working on and who they need to know or what doors they're looking to be opened because I'm fortunate to have a really cool network of people. And I believe that I believe it's my responsibility to meet people and connect them with the other people I've met. Like if I go to an event and I only hang out with people I already know and I don't meet the person standing next to me, what if they were the answer to another friend's prayers and I was too busy being comfortable to introduce myself to someone new and I could have made a connection that could have changed two people's lives? Like that just like really? So I
Yeah,
make friends to introduce them to my other friends.
that's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely a way to network, that's for sure. As you already sent somebody my way, and I do it all the time with everybody I know, especially when I have a great guest. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So I send somebody, to other podcasters, whether it's a good fit or not, I don't know. They can figure that part out, right? But you think that they are.
There's
And
something inside of me that says I should introduce you to so and so. I don't always know why I feel that way. It's not for me to know. It's just for me to make the introduction and for you guys to figure out if there was something or not. But I always trust that intuition that drops in when someone drops in. And I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to introduce you to them.
yeah, like for example, I got somebody that I had on, and she's trying to get to schools and universities just to teach a little bit about what she does. So every time I hear somebody that's been teaching at a university or whatever, it's like, hey, hey, just
When
let's
we're
connect.
done, let connect her with me because I am connected. I had a lady on my podcast who has talked at Harvard and University of Michigan and things like that. And I'll try to connect them to see if she can open some doors for her.
And that's what it's all about, right? I'm not looking for anything to come back. It's just like you said, meeting that one person that could change somebody else's life
Yeah.
and just sharing that connection. Um, I love it. So, and as I could tell that you love it as well. And how long you been doing it for?
The podcast, I just celebrated 2 years in February and I didn't even
Congrats.
realize it.
That's
I've
awesome.
recorded 180 episodes.
Very good.
So cool.
That is so cool. So, Tiff, would you mind sharing how people can reach out to you and who you actually, serve? And if I don't know if you're looking for people to come on your podcast and how they can connect with you for
Yeah.
that as well.
I absolutely like if you're a woman who is ambitious and has big goals and you've checked a lot of boxes, but life feels a little less than, like you feel like you're on the hamster wheel and you're thinking about running away and living under a bridge in a box because it might feel less stressful and be more enjoyable than what you have going now, please come connect with me. I would love to just have a conversation and get to know you and be your friend. And then if you're a woman who is in business changing the world with the lessons that you've learned and your unique gifts, I would love to have you on my show and to help share your message and get you in front of new people. And so you can connect with me at the Tiffany Simms, Simms, on Instagram or Facebook. And we can just start a conversation and get the ball rolling from there.
Awesome. So I'm not done yet. I have one quick question for you that I ask everybody else. So I know you listen to my podcast all the time, so you already know what it
All
is.
the time.
Yeah, see. Um, First, I want to say this has been an awesome conversation. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing everything you did share with myself and the listeners. So, what are three key things you've learned and used along your journey?
You have to know what your destination is if you want to enjoy your day. And so define what success for your health, your relationships, and your career are, and let that become your life GPS. And from there, everything becomes a yes, no. So that would be like that might just be number one, two, and three, because that is a task in itself. And then from there, everything is just one step at a time. Remember that you can be the scientist of your own life and that you get to try things, see how they work, and then try again and manipulate and fine tune and pull different levers to try to get a different result. And so if right now feels heavy, there is another opportunity if you're willing to like be brave and curious enough to go try things a different way.
Cool. Good.
I think that's one, two, and
That
three.
I'll go with that. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you real quick now that what is you said pull different levers and stuff. So when would you suggest that point might be?
What do you mean?
If you're struggling with something, when would you decide to choose another lever to pull?
Well, if you're struggling with it, like there, well, when you're
We're
struggling with
pulling the
it,
same one, right? We're just like
we
the
were
rat. We're
pulling
gonna
the
keep.
same one over and over again, expecting a different result. Maybe we don't need a different destination. Maybe we just need a different path. This dropped in to my heart last week when I was walking Lexi. Lexi's my dog. We were out for a walk and I was redefining what my destination was because all of my destination in the last month has been refined. And it used to look different. And like I shared with you, my destination now is being able to travel the world and adventure with my mom and then have really good conversations. Like that would be my perfect day is just have great conversations and travel with my mom. That was not it a month ago. And so when I realized that, I was like, Tiff, are you more like, oh, what was the word I used? The word is gone. But it was like, are you more attached to the destination? Are you committed to the destination or are you more committed to the path you thought you were supposed to take to get there? And so for me, I thought it was supposed to be the Simply Healthy method. And then it was supposed to be the Modern Women's Society. And the Modern Women's Society was supposed to look this certain way. And so I've been really resistant to some change and some nudges from the universe because I want it to look a certain way. I want to achieve a certain thing. Like I want there to be 500 members. I want to be someone capable of doing that. And I realized that there's a lot of I wants in that. And I thought the way to do it was this tactic or this tactic or this blueprint. And I just was like, Tiff, do you want the destination or do you think that using the path you currently have in front of you is more important? I really butchered this. But that's just being human. You don't always doesn't always come out of your mouth just right. And so now I lost your question.
It was when you pull the other
Oh,
lever.
so
Yeah.
pulling the other lever. I was just asking yourself, like, what is my destination? And am I more committed to the destination of where I'm trying to go or the path I think I'm on? And then when you realize that, like, no, I am just grinding, trying to make this one path work because I've invested so much in it, sometimes it's a dead end. And sometimes you got to take the skills that you learned along the way and put them in your backpack, put it on your back, and like trek backwards and find a new path. And so if you're grinding the same thing over and over and over again and it's not getting what you want, it's time to like fine tune, pull a different lever, ask different questions of yourself so that you come up with different answers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for elaborating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiff, I appreciate you coming on and sharing everything with myself and the listeners. Again, thank you. I'm glad we were able to squeeze you in here.
I'm really grateful that you squeezed me in. I was like, I'm getting princess treatment. I'll take it.
That's right. There's only a selected few, so you got to be the one.
You know, on that though, when you said, let me see what I can do and squeeze you in, my immediate response was, no, no, no. Like, I can wait. I can be like everyone else. Like, I don't want any special treatment. And then I thought to myself, people don't offer things that they don't want. And like, it's okay to get special treatment when someone is offering it to you. That doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're like trying to skip the line and like shortcut your way through life. It just means that you've made real connections with people and they like genuinely want to support you and make things happen, and that's okay. So thank you for allowing me to practice growing, being a person who is able to receive the gifts that she's given.
You're welcome. And remember, it's your podcast. You get to do what you want. And it's something I don't do all the time because I do set everything up. But I will tell you, I had a few cancellations the last week. So, it all helps out in the way too. But that's not the whole idea of why I was like, hey, let's bring her on and make this happen. No, it's been a long time coming and we just never made it a priority. So here we are and it's done now. So thanks again.
You can check me off your
Yeah,
to-do
check you
list.
off. And now I have to make it so that you come back on
Now I
again
don't have to
sometime.
talk to her anymore.
That's right. This has been great. Thank you, Tiff.